We, Zeus, are a discounted airline who focuses on civil aviation and aims to make it safe and sustainable at an affordable price. We look to, following this philosophy, we look to capture large market share in the current domestic market. Now I would like to call our CEO, Pravin Guru, to continue his presentation.
Thank you, Rahul. Now I'd like to present the current fundamentals and finances of our company. The current ratio of our company is on LTDI, and the return on sales, equity, and assets is pretty good, and the debt to equity ratio is on LTD low. For the purpose of this presentation, I'd like to compare our company with global ethical airlines, the industry leader. Performing badly in Q4, and we caught up with the Phoenix Air and even beat our competitor in Q8. The return on sales and return on assets share a similar pattern, where we were performing very badly in Q4, and we caught up with industry average in Q8. And in Q7, in return on asset, we had an engine overhaul, due to which our performance declined, and we leased a plane in order to maintain our regular flights. And the return on equity on most part is on par with the industry average, with a steep decline in Q4. And lastly, the passenger load factor, however bad we were performing, we could significantly increase our passenger load factor throughout our quarters. Now I'd like to call on Assis Morgan to further the presentation.
Thank you, Pravin. So that was all about who we are, where we stand, and a brief overview about our company. And now I would like to explain about where we were. As you can see on this figure of operating strategy from Q4, on Q4 we had on return on sales, return on equity, return on assets, our figures were all in negative terms than that of industry average. And the debt to equity was also higher than that of industry average. It's all because of the few things that we did wrong. The few things that we did wrong are lack of team coordination, as there was no proper communication between our team members. Similarly, we were taking actions independently. Example for this can be withdrawn from the decision summary of Q4. On Q4, we terminated the British Aero 31 and we bought the same plane on the same quarter. That was a mistake that we did. The other mistakes that we did are the poor choice of purchasing leasing aircraft. Similarly, the rapid expansion of our routes into international market and poor selection of our routes was not appropriate that we did. Embraer Brasilia was not fit for our discounter airlines. Other thing that we did wrong was improper allocation of funds. The promotion budget and advertising budget were all on the same amount that was not appropriate for us. As well as there was an investment on cargo marketing budget. Challenges that we faced during our operation are we had a very limited market, high level of debt, there was no line of credit, we lacked additional sources of funding, we had a limited time frame on the simulation which was reduced by 4th quarter, and as well as we were threatened by our employees to unionize against us. On Q4, we had a critical incident of channels of distribution where we took a decision of maintaining our telephone bank and opening a website of our own for the ticket sales.
Now I'd like to rectify the few mistakes we have done in Q4. To improve those mistakes, we allocated more budget in promotion than in advertising. The reason behind this is that promotion is much cheaper and is much effective in the short run, and advertisement, as we know, that may or may not lead to direct sales. Moving on to the next point, we hired a total of 4 salespersons. This is due to the fact that we only had 5 aircraft, and having 4 salespersons is perfectly fine according to the industry average. Now, moving on to the next point, we stopped investment in cargo marketing. This was done as we had only 2 flights running in the route C, and which was not sufficient for cargo marketing, so we thought it's much more beneficial to avoid cargo marketing. We initiated the setup of Zeus web portal and invested heavily on in-market research. As we can see in the graph, our passenger load is much higher than the industry average. This was due to the fact that we invested highly in promotion, which led to the increment in the passenger load. Now moving on to the operations, 2 flights were scheduled for market except in the route 21A where there is monopoly. This is done because in route 21A there was no other competitors operating. That's why we thought that having 3 flights is much more beneficial. And each of Air Zeus plane was scheduled exactly at the maximum limit. We abandoned unprofitable routes. 50% of fuel was bought on contract and 50% was bought on the spot. Miles flown in the maximum and total. We can see in the quarter 3 and quarter 4 that the maximum flights flown and the total flights with our aircraft flown were almost similar. But in quarter 5, we were able to decrease as we sold few of our aircraft and cancel our routes. And at the end of the quarter 8, the maximum flights we've flown and the maximum flights and the total flights we've flown were almost similar. Now moving on to the human resource, we allocated $2,400 budget per airplane for quality and training. The wages were provided to all staff were 2% above the prevailing wage. Employee turnover rate from quarter 1 to quarter 8 is almost similar. According to the Forbes 2014, having employee turnover rate below 15% is perfectly fine, which we can see in our airlines. And moving on to the finance part, we purchased CDs in quarter 5 and quarter 7. This was done as we have a lot of cash in hand, but we are not able to use in those quarters. Our revenue and cost has been almost same at the quarter 5, but from quarter 6 we are able to increase our revenue and decrease our cost as we sold few of our planes to decrease our cost. And by the end of the quarter 8, as we can see, our revenue has increased much higher and our cost has been decreased.
My associates have talked about how our company was, our poor performance, and what it took for us to improve our performance. So now, given where we are, we take a step back and look into our organization as a whole. So while looking at our organization, we were able to identify some crucial competitive advantages. We have listed these competitive advantages in form of Porter's diamond, as shown behind me. So these advantages, the most advantageous one for us was that in the majority of the routes that we were operating in, we were the only discounted airline. So as a result, we were able to get higher passenger load. And it has been forecasted that in the next year, there will be a higher level of demand. So in order to capitalize on this, we will be increasing our operation and our fleet. For that, we have a supporting industry which provides us with all the necessary aircrafts with the necessary specs. And finally, in factory condition, we have the airplanes that we will be using come at a lower cost than that our competitors will be using, because our planes don't need higher specs. Besides those points, we have hired competitors' marketing director to improve our efficiency. And the point I would like to highlight is that no more than 2 flights in a competitive route. This means that in all the routes that we operate, besides the one in market A, we have just 2 flights operating there. This is a competitive advantage as it helps us to keep the operating cost low and helps us to compete efficiently in a saturated market. Now, I would like to go into a SWOT analysis of our organization. Most of the points written here have been highlighted by my companions, but I would like to highlight some few points. Firstly, our strength is that our management team is experienced in bad times. We were performing poorly up to 4th quarter and we were under a lot of pressure. But even through all that, we were able to turn this table successfully, and we have been competitive with other industries, other companies in the industry. So, and another point is that we have a negative cumulative net income as a form of our weakness. This may be true because of our first 4 quarters, we weren't doing so well. We have talked about how far we have come, but we still have some lackings, as shown in the balance scorecard behind me. Firstly, in terms of financial perspective, we have high current ratio, low debt to equity ratio, and a negative form of cumulative net income. Our employees continuously threaten to unionize, and in terms of learning, and innovation perspective, we have inexperienced employees who turned around 19 baggages because they couldn't ride a truck. And this shows that we have inefficient budget on training, so we need to increase that's in the down mistake. And furthermore, in terms of customer perspective, we have in the last quarter we have significantly a drop in reliability. So that's one of the problems. We're looking to rule the sky. We will dominate the current market. We will do this by having presence in every appropriate market. We will provide value for money, and we will be reliable at an affordable price. Finally, in the course of this venture, we learned a lot of lessons, most of which is that we learned the importance of clear strategic goal. We learned the value of teamwork. We learned it was necessary to collect relevant information to make informed decisions. We had to look at a bigger picture than focusing on small problems. And what we learned the most, according to me, is working under extreme pressure. And finally, we realized that situation changed. Just because we are performing poor now doesn't mean it's a constant throughout our operation time, but we will have better times and we will perform better.